Thaddeus Strassberger has a passion for all things opera. From designing sets and wardrobes to directing, this Tulsa, Oklahoma native is leaving his mark on the world stage.
I think the very first performance I can remember going to was a production of Peter Pan at the American Theater Company at the Tulsa Performing Arts Center. And I remember sitting there thinking, I want to do that, whatever that is. And I didn't know what a stage director was or what a designer was. And I remember seeing technicians sort of running around on the sides and in the catwalks up above with the lighting and things. And I thought, those people must be doing that, and I want to be involved in that. I'm Thaddeus Strassberger, and I'm a stage director and designer for opera. I was born and raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I started going to the theater at a very young age. There's a lot going on in Tulsa culturally, and I was really lucky to have parents that took me to see as much of what was going on when I was here. And so I think that my upbringing of just naturally not being the only dominant culture in the room was really important. And then another element of that is nothing to do with my education, but actually with my mother, which is where my Cherokee roots come from that side, sort of knowing that we were ethnically diverse within our own bloodline and that who we are was made up from different places. And I think growing up in Oklahoma, it didn't seem strange to me that I had these roots. Going back now, you think my great-grandmother, who my mother was very close to her own grandmother, is a Cherokee speaker. I just thought, well, that's very close to me. So that is part of my identity, and my world has gotten bigger since then. I live in the UK now, in London, and I found that people are really interested in your Native American side, and they want to know more about the paintings and the culture and the music. And so I was like, wow, we have something to offer to the world. So I find in Europe, in Asia, that people are respectful of that. So opera just is this big crazy beast that exists, and it takes people, artists, to make all of the elements. So if people are wearing something on stage, if it's part of their clothing, then it's costume design, essentially. If it's an object that they can hold or move for a piece of furniture, that kind of goes into props. If it's the environment and the setting around it, then that goes into the scenic department. And then there's the lighting, which is really important. There we go. Then the last thing that I do that brings it all together, as the stage director, I'm responsible for the overall concept of the piece, like how you're going to set it, if you're going to modernize it, or what the time period that it's in, or sort of the tone and the mood, and that informs all those other design elements. I believe that I'm the first member of the Cherokee Nation that is directing an opera at Tulsa Opera, where I've come back to direct Salome. And I think that there's several good things about that. And I would hope that my being aware and helping to promote my identity through this work, that it could inspire somebody else that's from our community that could see themselves in that place. Salome is an opera that's based loosely on a very short story in the Bible, wherein there's a king, he's throwing a feast for his birthday, and it goes very, very wrong. I wanted to put the audience literally right in the middle of all of that, so that it's a different experience watching somebody on a roller coaster. And you can be like, oh, that would make my stomach sick, or I would be really afraid, or that looks really fast when you see the picture at the end and go, but it's different when you're on it, because you feel it in your whole body, the way your stomach moves and your blood pressure goes and your hair goes and your cell phone goes, and that's what should happen in this experience. So for me as a designer, I wanted to make sure that it all just felt normal, like clothing, like fashion, and that you were there and you're participating, and there's no sense of otherness and separation, the normal sort of fourth wall you talk about in theater. And we even got rid of the orchestra pit. Oftentimes there's a stage and then an orchestra pit, which is kind of a dividing line, and then the audience can sort of sit safely in the dark. There's not onstage seating and normal seating. Everybody is immersive, because if you're sitting in those onstage seats, you're looking out to the other way, and those people are on your stage if you're out in the audience. So like literally all the world's a stage.
It's a big royal celebration. So how do you do that? Are they costumes or are they clothes is sort of the big question. And I think in opera, sometimes people think about costumes as something that's sort of applied to the singer, almost like upholstery or something. But for me, I really work with characters. So I'm the director and the set designer and the costume designer. And I'm just trying to create a world that you believe in. And every detailed choice that I curate that goes into the production has to feel like it's part of the world and never pulls you out of that world. So it goes down to every little button and every rhinestone on it should make you feel like you're immersed in this totally other place. And so, like, where did I get all this stuff, and how did I have it made, and then how did we get it on stage? There's really talented tailors and embroiderers that work in London that come from all over the world, from Pakistan and from Bangladesh and from all over India. So I spent a lot of time working with specific people there that make these really beautiful things. So I try to take the sort of the DNA of all of those things and pull it together. And there's a lot of technical skill that goes inside to making these sort of garments that I think is also interesting for people who maybe not working in theater as a designer to realize that there's a lot of careers and professions that involve a lot of skills. These days, everything is sort of online and we all just think we can order from Amazon, but it really takes really talented human beings that can sit down with a needle and thread and a pair of scissors to put things together. I just wanted to create other worlds that feel complete. And so in the beginning, I started out as a designer and then moved into directing because the people, of course, are the most important thing in those worlds. So to me, it all works together. Like, I don't see a division between any of the things. It irritates some people that I don't see a division between it because everybody wants to sort of keep things like, I do costumes, I do lights or whatever, but I'm like, if we turn off the lights in the room, this costume, the bling, it doesn't matter what the design is if the light's not hitting it just right. So I wanted to bring some of that to Tulsa.
The way I do opera is very different than people did it 30 years ago or 60 years ago, but that doesn't mean that you can't sort of learn and grow from that. I'm always looking at how do I take this really important story and really beautiful music and aesthetic elements and turn them into something that actually moves us. I think, the oral tradition of storytelling amongst Cherokees, at least, isn't to only remember how things were, but it's about informing, and it's a teaching tool, and about who we are as a culture and identity, and how we can live our lives in a way that brings more light and positivity or moving things forward. Our voices matter no matter what that voice is, and we have this sort of level of confidence as well that helps us to inspire large groups of people. But I think that you also run the risk when you're always a foreigner and always on the outside that you can end up being slightly unbalanced, or that you never feel quite really at home. And I think that being born in Oklahoma and being born a Cherokee citizen, that it gives me some grounding. Even though I'm just from Oklahoma and didn't grow up with a big operatic culture, I became part of the stream of knowledge that gets passed down. I feel really strongly that it's my responsibility and stewardship of art and culture and media and music to modify and imprint our own lived experience on what we're doing and telling it forward.